Dr. Warren, publisher of the San Diego Voice and Viewpoint newspaper, coming to you with our program from the desk of the editor. As I like to remind you, the Voice and Viewpoint is San Diego's oldest and only African-American adjudicated publication, serving 89 zip codes, 17 cities, the unincorporated areas of San Diego County, looking at the news from the standpoint of a black perspective, because news in itself has no color. And as we often share, you may find our app in the Google Apple Store, and you can download it. You can also find our publication online daily, and we publish weekly. And so we are available single copy sales, over the counter in retail outlets. There are churches, community centers, feeding programs where people are being served. We make the paper available to reach all of these. And our motto has always been, a people without a voice cannot be heard. And we're here to be your voice. And in that context, we normally have an open mic. We have invited guests. I'm here with Dr. Leonard Thomson III, who is our host and our partner, co-host and partner in what we do. And we're very excited in terms of what we're going to do this evening. So, Dr. Thomson.
Well, Dr. Warren, I'm just going to start off by saying a very, very good evening to everybody. I am excited because we have so much going on. The new year is leaving us with a bang, and so I'm excited about what God is doing. Just want to start off the back, because I want people to know September 19th.
Yes.
Dr. Warren, talk about it real quick.
Okay, September 19th, we're going to reinstitute Biscuit, Grits, and Politics. And as you know, it was taking off before the pandemic hit. It's an occasion we're going to come together on the 19th from 7 to 9 a.m. at the Jacob Center, where we normally have Black Men and Women United on Tuesday on our Zoom call. On that particular Tuesday, which is the third Tuesday in September, we're going to do that all in person. We're looking for at least 100 people to be there. We're going to have the catfish nuggets. We're going to have the biscuits, and they're not going to be Pillsbury. They're going to be homemade. We're going to have the grits, buttered and plain, and scrambled eggs and sausage and bacon. And we're just going to have a great opportunity, and we're going to have guests. We're going to stream the event. It's going to cost $20 a breakfast to be there, and we're encouraging you to come out and be with us in person. You know, all the years that the Voice and Viewpoint has made Black Men and Women United available, and the things that we've done, we normally do not charge for what we do. We want to meet the cost of this event, and it's going to be the first in a quarterly series, because we're doing this in September, October, November. All 3 months we're going to have guests. We're going to stream it. We're going to branch out with it in such a phenomenal way, because it's a part of the things that we're about to do with the paper that go to a whole different level. And so we want you to be there and be a part of it. And, you know, if you can buy that six-pack of Cokes and those potato chips at $5 a bag or whatever it is, and go to McDonald's and Jack in the Box, then you can make the sacrifice and come out to a breakfast where you're going to get some good food, good company, good conversation. It's going to be educational. It's going to be also a networking opportunity. And I don't think there's much more to say about it than that, Dr. Thomson.
Well, you know, Dr. Warren, it's very important. A lot of times people say what they don't know, because being in politics or being active in your community, there's a lot of things that are unknown unless you actually do the work and you actually are involved. And so this is literally going to be for lack of a better word, a very strong power group of people coming together to make sure that not only is our community is educated, but also that our voices are heard, and that it will be a stop for many, many politicians that really want to hear what's happening in the community, not just the Black community, but the community as a whole. But also, it is important that we understand the history of how we got here. I think a lot of times we want to move and say, well, we're not going to be involved with the history. But if you don't know the history, you're bound to repeat mistakes that were made in the past. And so not only is it going to be educational, but it's actually going to be able for us to get together. You know, we're going to spend 2 hours, and some of the best and the brightest minds in our city and around the country will come in. Somebody said, why are you streaming it? Well, because this is going to be a model. a
Yes.
model for a lot of other cities that we'll use, and you will see this model branch out in Biscuits, Grits, and Politics, which is trademarked. They will be trying to bring Biscuits, Grits, and Politics to their thing. And I don't know, did you mention the catfish nuggets?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
I mentioned the catfish nuggets, and the catfish nuggets are going to be good. And you know what you say is so important because in Washington, D.C., where I really cut my teeth in politics and all the things that I did there, I had an office that was not about a block from the Trump Hotel, which used to be a post office there. Mm-hmm. And the inscription on the archives there says that what is past is prologue. Mm-hmm. And so we have a lot of people coming to San Diego with bright ideas, and they're trying to do things like nothing ever happened before they got here. And they need to know what we've done, how we did it, why we did it. And if we're not still doing it, they need to know why we're not still doing it. And so, and I think it's always one of the things about the young that they wanted to think that, well, it doesn't matter what happened yesterday, but it's what we want to bring today. And so we're excited about what we're about to do in a big way. And one of the things is going to be educational. I believe in the 3 E's, and I think that you, as our listeners, you might want to write these 3 E's down if you want to keep up with them. And the 3 E's are exposure, expands expectation. Exposure expands expectation. So we want to expose you to the true nature of politics. We want you to know what you should expect. And by exposing you, and you can expect, and you can have demands and ideas of your own that are not knee-jerk reactions to other people's agendas. Yeah. And so that's really the essence of what we want to get done.
Yeah, and the thing about it is again, going to be a major opportunity for you to meet and to greet and to network with what I would call the power brokers, the influencers of the city. And again, this is not for one group of people to take strongholds and they're the only ones that's going to have a voice, but real true dialogue is going to take place, not just from the platform, but before the platform even starts. And someone says on the line, they said, I wish I could be there. That's the reason why we're streaming it. We're streaming it so that people around the country can still get this education, but tap in because, again, the wider the audience, the more that we can do.
And I think we want to make it something very clear, Dr. Thomson, that the Biscuit Grits and Politics, unlike our weekly sessions with Black Men and Women United, it's open to everyone.
Yeah.
It's open to everyone. It doesn't matter, race, color, creed, whatever. You're all welcome to be there and be a part of it. One of the reasons that we made Black Men and Women United so inclusive or exclusive, if you will, is because many years ago when we started doing this back in 2004 and 5, and we are the role model for any Black Men United that you see on the website when you Google in any city. They all modeled after what we did here in San Diego. But we found that people came and people had issues. A lot of them were personal, and there needed to be a place that we could vent and we could heal. And we needed to keep it in the family, if you will. Mm-hmm. And so it worked very well. But we do invite people outside of our community at given times to come to address us and to make presentations. Mm-hmm. But it's just like you having a family chat. If you having a family chat at the kitchen table, you don't open the front door and put a sign out there and say anybody who's on the street just walk on in. And that's what we do.
Well, I think that you have to break it down just a little bit more. I don't know about you, but I've never been invited to a Shriners meeting.
No.
To their private meetings and all the Eastern Stars. I've never been invited. You have to be a member.
Yes.
And nobody gets mad at them. I've never been invited to a closed session of the Alpha Phi Alpha Incorporated meeting. And I love my Alpha brothers, but if you're not a part of that organization, you're not allowed to come to those private meetings. You go to the parties or you go to events. And so this is the same thing. We're having these meetings, Black Men and Women United, so that we can deal with issues directly affecting that population. And so, but Biscuits, Grits, and Politics is a global platform.
Yes.
And it's not going to just hit. Some of the topics are not just going to be San Diego based, but it's going to be international based. Because Dr. Warren, you talk about, Martin Luther King said, "Give me the ballot." You know what I'm saying? And I think that that's going to be a major. This is going to be a major platform going into 2024 to really break down what we're looking at, because Teflon Don seems like he is going to keep slipping through, but he's also creating an atmosphere for civil war. He's creating an atmosphere for people disrespecting, and we kind of saw that with that whole riverboat
In Alabama.
yeah,
Yes, we did.
You know, the black man said was, "Could you? You're in the wrong space. This is reserved.
Move, right.
Could you move?" And the Caucasian fella came up and attacked him. Now, what I thought was dramatic, and I thought that it was caught on film so dramatically, is that when it happened, he went to turn his hat backwards, and then he threw it up like, "Oh well, y'all can take this job,
Yeah.
but I'm not gonna let them go at it."
No.
And they attacked that man, and the funniest thing for me was all the people coming to his rescue.
Oh, yeah.
But the 16-year-old boy that jumped in the water to swim over to help. I'm like saying, that lets you know at the point that they really, really felt that this man was being wrong.
Oh,
but
yeah.
this is an atmosphere that is being created in our country, and if we do not step up and change that atmosphere and change that narrative, we will implode from the inside.
Yeah, because the old saying is that they came for all these people and I said nothing, and then when they came for me, there was no one to speak.
Yeah.
And so what we look back at it in terms of retrospect, Trump was in town the night before. Everywhere he goes, he works people up and he gets it all excited. But Alabama has some other things going on, and the rest of us need to be aware that Alabama, with his 7 congressional seats, had gerrymandered, drew the line so that with all the blacks, about 25% of the people there are black. They only got 1 representative in Congress as a result of the stuff. The Supreme Court just ruled that they had to redraw the boundaries for, I guess, the first time in history. The state said, we ain't going to do it. And they withdrew what they wanted to do. And so here they are defying the courts. But when we come together, we can look at what is going on behind what we actually see. So some people get excited and say, wow, Trump's conservative court came to the rescue of the black folks in terms of Alabama. Well, now let's look a little further than that. Did they really? Because what happened is that they had already nullified Section 3, I think, of the Voting Rights Act. And so by rejecting what the court said here, doing something different, they are setting the stage for another bill or another lawsuit to come before the Supreme Court that will involve Section 2. And if they can do that, then that's when that Trump court will vote against Section 2, and they would have effectively nullified the meaning of the Voting Rights Act. So we need to be on our toes and understand what's going on behind the scenes in terms of what we see.
Yeah.
And we need to get involved in terms of this whole scenario.
Yeah. And one of the things about it, I believe that this platform is going to do exactly what we want it to do, and that is not only to educate, but it's also going to bring the generations together, because there will be a platform that they can come, they can talk individually, they can meet, but they can ask key questions. And I believe that this is a necessary platform, and it's an ongoing monthly platform versus we only get together when there's an issue. There's issues that are taking place consistently all the time, and with that being said, it's important for us to realize that we can't just get involved when there's a crisis. We must get involved before that. We must be active before that. We must be empowered before that, because if we don't do that, then we are always going to be behind the gun.
Well, Dr. Thomson, let's remind people, because when we say history repeats itself, 25 years ago in San Diego, not only did we have things like rites of passage for young men, we had Saturday schools where people were opening up the churches and educating our kids in terms of our own history and culture. And we need to get back to those kinds of things that were being done that were very important. in terms of this. But we also had a thing that started in the country called a circle. And the circle was the coming together of people who came together to have regular discussion groups. We had them at the Voice and Viewpoint following the initial Million Man March, when Farrakhan gave the order for people to go back and do local organizing committees, and we opened up our offices for people to come in once a week and to plan and have discussion. Well, this has never stopped on the East Coast, and but we got away from talking collectively, so that we only meet in groups that have our interests, but we don't expose ourselves to general conversations. And for what it's worth, this is why at USD, University of San Diego, Joan Kroc built the Peace and Justice Center, and is one, I think, of 4 or 5 that are around the country. And these centers were built to be places of discussion. And discussion goes back to the days of the Greek civilization, where they went into the marketplace, and Socrates and Aristotle and Plato and all these people had discussion. And poor people have been deprived of a lot of that, because the system has economically worked in such a way that if I can keep you struggling to survive, you ain't gonna have no time to sit down and plan and think about the future. So it's all by design, in terms of you're being underpaid, overworked, several jobs, inadequate housing, bad food, bad health. The whole plan is a cycle. And our forefathers, even in segregation and Jim Crowism, they were smart enough to break out of the cycle and still find time for the planning that needed to be done to help us get to where we are.
Yes, yes, yes. So, Dr. Warren,
Yes.
We just got so much, and we want to make sure that people are set. They're tuning in, because it's going to be, pretty much we're going to have a great night tonight here on this platform. I'm trying to get everything set up, because I do see that Makeda is on the line audibly, and so I'm going to get her set up, and then we want to bring on Sister Makeda to just talk about what is actually going on. And so I'm going to try to get everything just right, Dr. Warren, and I'm going to see if I can get her on the line.
Well, while you're getting Makeda on, let me just say a few words. Most of us are familiar with the World Beach Center up in Balboa Park. And what Makeda has done is she's taken what was, an abandoned water tower and turned it into a phenomenal center. It's been a cultural training place. It's the go-to place for Kwanzaa. It's got all kinds of African guests that come. I remember just a few years ago, when Brother Dennis Newsom, who is now one of the grand old masters of capoeira, brought the oldest grandmaster from Brazil here. And it was a phenomenal program at World Beat. And all the things have. And the Voice and Viewpoint has partnered at times over the years with Sister Makeda. She's worked very hard. And now we have an interesting thing going on there. Balboa Park's got the various houses for the different countries and cultures. And interestingly, now the city's real estate division has decided that they need to draw up a lease for her on the use of this water tower, which they've done nothing to repair or contribute to in any way over the years. It's been her ingenuity that's funded and kept it going. And now they want to start charging her some money for being there. But I understand that there's still entities in the park where these other houses and countries and cultures represent, and some of them don't have leases. Some of them aren't paying a dime for being there. And so we got to be on guard. I hate to quote this guy, because even though he was an ex-president, he was still a racist, and the slaves he owned and the whole bit. But Thomas Jefferson made the statement once, and it's so true. He said, eternal vigilance is the price of freedom. Eternal vigilance is the price of freedom. And we're living in an age where the world is changing to the extent that the authoritarians and the people with money, they want to eliminate folks who don't have and do away with democracy and just have it all their way. And so we've got to be on our guard.
Excellent. Now,
Go, yes.
Makeda, I think I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
All right, all right. Good, good. We're going to try to turn you up and make sure that everybody can hear you. So, Dr. Warren, she's on the line. I'm going to let you start off with.
Okay, so Makeda, what I'd like to do with you, and we want to be even more supportive of what you do. I'd like for you to just take maybe about 4 or 5 minutes, just give people a brief nutshell in terms of World Beat. What made you decide to do it and how it's worked? I know it's a lot, but you can condense it because you've been doing this for a long time, and we want to use this as an opportunity to reacquaint. If there's some people who don't know, we got a lot of new people moving in San Diego, and some of them look like us, but everybody who is skin is not kin. So we want to help bring them around. So just go ahead, Sister Makeda, and give us a few words about who and what, and then how we can be of help to you.
Thank you, Dr. Warren and Leonard Thompson. Thank you for inviting me on God's radio.
Yes, we're excited. We want people. We want you just to first just tell people about the World Beat Center and all the things that you offer, all the trainings, and just give them an overview of what is the World Beat Center and when it started.
Well, the World Beat Cultural Center is in Balboa Park, and I was going around trying to get a house of African culture in the park, and that was very hard 33 years ago. And at that time, they had a lot of racist people that were in power. And so we went through a lot. And cultural centers are very important, because that was the place DeHaan was at, like Dennis Newson, uh, the drummers and dancers. And by the way, they banned the drum from the park, and we brought back the drum. Um, Cultural centers are very important, and it's important that we control our own destiny with cultural centers. You see that they're blocking a lot of libraries and books. They're taking out of the libraries. They're not allowing books like you know Maya Angelou, or a lot of great art of our artists and writers in the library. So the World Beat Cultural Center has not got. It should have had a lease. They owe us $1 million. That was back at the day, and repairs that was in this empty water tank in Balboa Park. Well, it was just not getting to giving us the lease. Bob Filner left. Uh, Also, Mayor Saunders was working for the police department. He was the police chief, and he made it very, very hard for us. I mean, they just made it really hard. But as a people, we'll go through. It's like Kuji Chagalia,
Mm-hmm.
and it's self determination, and we have to show that to our young people. And I really know that the World Beat Center will be here for our children's children's children if we all stay together as a people, because there's too much, especially in this town that I grew up. And I was very unusual because I'm into reggae. I brought Bob Marley. In 1971, I had the first vegetarian restaurant, and I got to, I started producing concerts at the sports arena. People didn't know what reggae or yoga or vegan diets was about. So now that it's mainstream, it's very important that all of us really come together and maintain all our efforts for freedom and liberation. And so it's about time. When I know the mayor had Todd Gloria had good intentions, because that was on his goal, to see the World Beat Center have a lease. But the 3 years that he's been in, he had to get adjusted, I know, to a new government, but it's time, because there's new people, young people that have to come in, and take up this I don't want to
This
call it a
the,
fight for liberation.
this mantle that you have on. Can I jump in with you, my
Sure,
sister?
please.
One of the things that we want you to know, number one, is that this is a global affected place. This place is just not just San Diego, but this is one that is known around the world. Makeda has reaches far beyond just San Diego. This is this base, but she is very active in Mexico and all over the world. And people come to the World Beat Center from all over the world. Iconic historical people come there. One of the things I love about the World Beat Center is they took what most people threw away. It was an empty water tower, and it was not being used. They were trying to determine if they were going to tear it down or whatever, and they said, let us build a center there. And in this empty water tower, they built a cultural place that not only has a full kitchen, it has staging, it has classrooms, it has a radio set, it has all these different things well beyond its years. The technology has been there. They've put air conditioning. They've done all this work there for years without the city officially giving them a lease. They have done themselves raising the money, applying for grants, staying in good standing with grants, but yet have consistently made it an open space, not just for reggae, not just for bebop or hip hop, but they also supported gospel. They supported all the different styles of music. So now with Makeda reaching what we call the iconic age, she is saying, before I go to my next level, I have to make sure that there's a lease in place for this next generation so they're not doing the same fight. So we are partnering with her to make sure that in this year that she will finally get her lease. And I tell people, we don't have to protest, we just need to be together and literally say, this is important. The space is important, not only with her gardens that she does and the classes that she does and the classes that go on all the way through. I personally like to say she was the first person that hooked me up with some lentils and changed my life.
Yeah.
You feel what I'm saying? So I want people to know that the reason why Dr. Warren brought her on the show tonight is we want you to know the value of the center, but the work that we have to do this year. So Dr. Warren, I want to pitch it to you.
Okay, and so this is so very important because when I think back in the early days, the garden that she brought there, the things, the herbs and things she raised in, one of the most amazing things about the World Beat Center is that when you go there over the years, you will find people who don't necessarily look like us. There's a integrated atmosphere, teachers, students, people coming in, books, education, resources. They've got that, I call it a health bar there where they can make up all kinds of things that are healthy for you and activities for children. But they were doing this whole gardening thing long before people started being aware of a global
garden,
warming, and the importance of it. And so the importance of nature and all of these elements. And so I think this is so crucial. We are pledging ourselves as a paper and as GOD that we're going to be there in terms of partnership with you for your survival. We're going to monitor how the city treats you. We're going to monitor the contracts that they offer you and what they do, and we're going to make sure that they don't do kind of backhanded ripoff of you. And we're also going to be there to protect you from some of the charlatans out there that are coming forth in the name of brotherhood, people who say they look like us and act like us, but they got other agendas. We have one agenda that's helping you as a part of us. Because one of the things that we say in our creed in Black Men and Women United, that we commit to being of service one to another. And our desire is to serve rather than to be served. And so we're pledging all of our resources to supporting what you're doing and to supporting you in a sense of providing a public policy, there's that word again, a public policy response to the city to let the city know that we are watching, we are monitoring, and we're going to examine what they give you as a lease, and we're going to look at all the people in Balboa Park, and if there are other people who don't have leases and they're not giving them to them, we're going to make it all known. And
Yeah.
we're going to identify how you are being treated because we know so many times that, properties, sometimes buildings are done for $1 a year just to make it legal.
Exactly.
Okay. And so there are all kinds of ways to do it. And the real estate division can be a real trip with San Diego.
And Dr. Warren, when we talk about iconic destinations in your city, you have the Midway, you have the Zoo, you have Balboa Park, but there's a place called the World Beat Center that does probably about 500,000 people per year coming through it daily, experiencing drums and all this different culture. And sadly, as it's kept, we do have other black museums, but not at this scope, not as big,
No.
and not as having as many courses available for people to engage.
And this is so true. So we just wanted to take a few minutes, Michaela, to let you know that we're here for you. And I don't know if we have any comments from people that are watching, but there are a lot of folks who are concerned. And you don't have to worry about anybody trying to give you keys to anything. You already had the
Thank
keys
you.
to our heart. Okay,
Well,
and our
that's
heart is
that's
going to be here for you. So we don't want you to be caught up in all that phony stuff. People want to hold press conferences and pretend they're your friend and all of that kind of stuff. And we ain't about that. Your family. We're gonna treat you as family, and family does not
thank you.
try to pimp and hustle family.
We got to keep centers like this in these times, to teach our kids to promote, present, and to preserve the African diaspora and indigenous cultures and world music, you know, the world through music and art, dance, multimedia arts, education. We even got a National Science Foundation grant. We've been with Cornell. So we're located in Balboa Park. We can be we can have cultural centers all over the Old Town and the Nine Blocks. And I really commend both of you for what you're doing for San Diego. I didn't want to stay here, but I had to take care of my mother. She didn't have any insurance and she was a maid. So I stayed, but I knew that I wanted to do arts and culture. So, you've seen me do a lot around the city, the Adams Avenue Theater. I had, a black theater there, also the restaurants, and I want to encourage young people to just build their dreams, and we can all be there for them to help them. And so again, thank you very much. I'm glad I didn't have to get my folding chair.
Yeah. I do want to say to everybody that's listening and everybody that got a word, I'm going to ask that you all begin to send to the Voice and Viewpoint editorial so that they can be posted in your support for the World Beat Center. We have to write it, we have to say it, we have to celebrate it, because the one thing that I was sharing with Makeda was simply this, Dr. Warren, is that she has sown into her city for years. She has blessed a lot of us younger warriors and warriors underneath us. And so now I told her, let your lieutenants and your young warriors
Let them
fight
do the
this
work.
fight this battle for you. You sit back because you've already sowed the seeds within us to support you.
Amen.
Let me give you, before you go, Makeda, because we're going to be doing some other things tonight as well, but I want to give you an example as we were talking with you, and it comes to mind. A few years ago, a whole issue came up in Linda Vista about closing the one remaining skating rink
Yes.
in the city, okay? And I remember there was a time when we had, in La Mesa, we had a skating rink that was just humongous. It was almost the size of out at Rosecrans in terms of the forum. And so we've had all these activities that went away, but the community came together. The community came together in such a way, fighting for that center, that all of the plans, development, relocation and stuff were put on hold and pushed back. And so we need to speak up here. You know, you don't have to do a lot of words, but you can send an email to the paper in support. You know, you go on Facebook every day and you spend time doing comments or and comments, and you're speaking. We got Facebook. We got a page. You can do the same thing here. We support the World Beat Center,
Yeah.
and we want to do that. And other people look at how we respond.
Yeah.
Okay, just like they responding to that chair being thrown, and everybody got a little chair in there. They need to look at what we're doing here with you and what you have done.
Yeah.
And so I just want to share that. We're going to stay in touch. We're going to have you back again to do some more things with us, and we're excited.
And one of the things that we want to say to the listening public is let's make City Hall's job easier. Let's make the young warriors that are down there fighting and supporting, let's make their job easier, because when they go in and say, look, I got 100,000 people that's saying we need to have a lease for the World Beat Center, guess what? Those 100,000 voices become 100,000 votes.
Yes, they do.
And it has influence.
Yes. And that's
what we
want
to do.
Okay. So, Makeda, we're going to thank you again for being here. We're going to be in
Thank
touch.
you.
We're going to bring you back again, and we're going to continue. And if there's anything that you need from us, please let us know. You know how to reach both of us. This is not a one-time shot. This is not a camera opportunity. This is not a press hustle. This is family to family. We're here for you. All right?
Thank you very much. And the words of Marcus Garvey, it's, people without the knowledge of their culture is like a tree planted without its roots. World Beat Center is one of your early roots in San Diego, and it's going to all really be the home continually to our people and many other centers that are going to come in San Diego. We're going to change this climate, and I come from a climate in San Diego that people were beat behind the lumber yard.
Yes.
And we couldn't go into different areas. I was once arrested for stealing my own car, and then it was when they found out it was my own car, because they said charges dropped, but when I got a clearance job for top clearance, I had a felony there, and so finally I made them take that off my record. So this is the climate that we grew up in our city, but that is changing. And Dr. Warren, and I can't thank you enough. And also my man, Leonard Thomson, thank you. Thank you all.
Well, thank you. We'll be in touch soon. I'm coming through to get my lentils, and we're going to have a good time. So thank you so much, my sister.
All right.
All right, bless up.
Okay.
Bless up.
Be blessed. Luta continua, and our struggle does continue. We got a few more things we want to bring up this evening, and I want to start with this upcoming election next Tuesday. 700,000 people in the 4th supervisorial district. We got 4 candidates. We have a present board. As I say in my editorial this week, there's 2 Republicans, 2 Democrats, even though it's a nonpartisan scenario. We got 12 communities that are going to be able to vote. And we've already had a projection that less than 5% of the registered voters are going to bother to go to the polls. We, as a people, have a vested interest because the 4th supervisorial district includes all of District 4 of the City Council, which is represented by City Council President Pro Tem Monica Montgomery Stepp, who's running for the position. And so we have endorsed Monica in terms of this position, but it takes more than southeastern San Diego, because all of these other communities are involved, and there are some capable people running against her in terms of it. And one of the people that really stands out in terms of her approach in her campaigning has been Janessa Goldbrick, and a former Marine captain who last week got the support of retired Colonel Vinderman, who was one of those people persecuted by Trump and forced out of a military career, who had done distinguished service. And there's a lot of support there. So we want to acknowledge where support is so that we don't think that we can sit at home, be comfortable, and not vote. Now, it doesn't matter whether on Tuesday, yes, Black Men and Women United will meet, but, it doesn't matter if it's cloudy on Tuesday. It doesn't matter if it should rain a little bit on Tuesday. Doesn't matter if the wind is blowing on Tuesday. You got time before Tuesday. The voting places are open. You can go out there and vote directly. If you're a registered voter, you got a ballot in the mail, and you got to sign it in addition to marking it, putting it in the mail. You can track it in terms of when it's received. And so we got all of these elements at work here. And this is important. She's number one on the ballot there. All you have to do is mark it and get it back. If you're not sure whether or not you can vote, you can go to the register of voters. You can ask for a ballot. You can vote your ballot. They can seal it in an envelope as a provisional ballot. And it's one of those things that will be looked at after they verify based on the signature and the name whether or not you are a voter, and then it can be counted. But if you don't go through the process, it's like this big mega lottery just had. Everybody who didn't buy a ticket, it don't matter to them who won. But somebody did win. Somebody down in Florida won $1.5 billion. They only going to get $800,000 out of it when they finish. But the point is you got to have a ticket, and your vote is important because we got issues before us, issues of housing, health care, elder treatment. We got all kinds of issues coming up. And it's too late after we get jammed to say, oh, I don't think I got a fair deal.
Yeah, I heard that DeSantis won the lottery because he needed it to help his campaign. But one of the things that we want to say overall is do not get comfortable and think that this is a slam dunk election. It is not a slam dunk election. It is an election that if you do not get out and support and you do not get out to vote your heart, you will find out that you will be upset with the outcome, and you can be I tell people all the time, don't get upset if you never came to the party. You know what I'm saying?
Don't.
You know, like they say at the lotto, you got to be in it to win it.
Yeah.
So if you didn't buy a ticket, don't be mad if Gertrude down the street won because she bought the ticket.
Yeah.
You know, go
'Cause you
for
could
free
have.
Gertrude and see if Gertrude needs somebody to help her out to spend her money. You know, but I'm just saying to you, so often we will complain, but we will not get involved.
Right.
So my whole thing is that I'm not going to tell you who to vote for. You know, I will say that my vote is going to go with Monica Montgomery. You know what I'm saying? I would like to see her, you know, but the reality is that I'm just going to be real. They could have made this, you know, they could have just appointed her. They could have saved the money. She's already working in the 4th district in the city. So now it's just an expansion in the sense of her territory if she does win. So we're going to continue to support. We strongly both believe that it's going to go to a runoff. And that means that even more money has to be spent. And I don't know, this seems like Janessa got a lot of money in her coffers because everywhere I turn, she's on the TV.
Well, you know, Janessa is an issue for some people because Janessa is a former Marine captain. She has done tremendous voluntary work in terms of veterans and different issues. I think she's laid out programs that included the seniors and elder considerations. And so we want people to be so that you listen to folks, but at the same time that you are voting your heart. If we're voting support of someone we support, then we need to ask the person we're about to vote for, where do you stand on some of these issues that's been raised by the person running against you? Do you agree with these things? Do you stand for some of these things? Where are you? Because this is not a popularity contest.
Yeah.
And right now, the Board of Supervisors is 2-2. But when we get this 5th person there, they're going to be the ones who are going to select a new county administrative officer to replace Helen Robin Myers. That's going to be key in terms of how that's done.
Yeah.
And so we need to understand that there's a lot of money involved. The housing issue, the money for homelessness does not necessarily come to the city. This money goes to the county. And I like to remind people that the structure here is that the county of San Diego is what they call a charter county, so a sovereign in and of itself. The city of San Diego within the county is a charter city, which is sovereign. So that means that the county can't do anything in the city without an interagency working agreement with the city. So homelessness takes both of them working together. That's why we finally got around to getting a regional task force. I remember several years ago, I was pushing the idea because I used to attend the regional task force meetings in LA in terms of all the people who came together to be involved there. And so we need to be involved, folks. each supervisor, there was a time that each supervisor got $1 million discretionary fund that they could give out money to different programs within their districts. Um, and we need to be clear. The Southeastern Live Well Center, though it's located in the city of San Diego, it is owned by the county of San Diego. It is staffed by the county of San Diego. The county of San Diego, after we pushed, bought the old Tubman Chavez building so that the money from that could go back into the community. And it's opening up. It's going to have a grand opening next month. Things are going on there already. But we need to understand who does what so that we don't sound ignorant when we want to get involved and express our views about what's going on.
Well, Dr. Warren, I'm going to express my views right now.
Okay.
Because I got a problem with the Live Well Center. And
Okay.
I'm going to tell you what my problem is. It's not the center that I got a problem with. I got a problem with how they did the roads. It seemed like they made the roads smaller to get to the Live Well Center, but we got way more people coming.
I know.
Who came up with that plan?
I know, it's crazy, isn't it, that they put that little island out there in the middle of it and canceled one of the lanes and stuff. It's right across the street from the library. And, and then we got these people that want the library parking lot to be one of those safe places for people to park their cars overnight who are homeless and living in their cars. And so again, the street thing, that was a city thing because the street is controlled by the city. Why? Who knows? We don't know. You got that super parking structure that's sitting right there. And so that corner has become important. You and I remember when it was nothing but just weeds on all sides of the street. The Elementary Institute of Science was just a house on a hill. And now everything has been built up. And they're going to tear down the Church's Chicken and build up there. And you come up Euclid, you got all that housing that was supposed to be impossible to put it there because of the traffic that's going to be. I mean, if you look behind those two places that sit on the front, it's a ton of housing going all the way back to 47th Street, almost.
Yeah. And then the funny thing about it is they're building behind the Food for Less in the amphitheater area. There's apartments going up there, and then that big lot that is over on Market and
47th Street.
That's getting ready, I believe, to be all housing too. I'm just asking who is planning these streets because it's already congested everywhere you go into the corridor. It is congested, and I'm about ready to put me up a little chitlin stand right in front of the thing because they're going to need the food because they're going to be in line.
Well, you know what? 25 years ago, when you talk about that hill, Pastor Jerry and I were interested in trying to buy that property because we wanted to put a church on that hill, okay? And we ran into all of these problems with this real estate agent, I won't mention her name, who convinced us that the grading of the property and everything that had to happen, it just wasn't workable, and don't think about it and you can't get the funding. This is before Jacobs came. But when Jacobs came into the community, bought that old building next door to across from Cox, there used to be a Safeway, and started opening it up so that they had these little incubator sessions in there. And, old man Jacobs would come down and they would give everybody hors d'oeuvres and sandwiches and have receptions and feed them and stroke them. And the next thing you know, they were in the community. Well, here's a funny thing happened on the way to the forum. After a while, you couldn't buy any property because they bought up everything. And what they didn't buy, the price had gone up so that the community was left basically at their mercy with it.
Yeah.
And even when they put Market Creek up and said they wanted community involvement, they retained 51% ownership. Today, there's talk about selling the building and the property down there, but they can't find all of the people that they let invest in that other 49%. And some of the ones that make up the 51% are gone and the thing has become defunct. And so the people who stayed closest to it, many of them have died off.
Yeah.
And so now we got folks who don't know how would this happen? And we keep talking on Black Men and Women United about that Starbucks there. How is it we're going to have a Starbucks in the community that pulls the tables and chairs and don't want to let people sit out there? And it's almost a reminder of what happened in Philadelphia, where the two black men came together meeting. They got arrested because they were in there and accused of loitering when they were doing what Starbucks encouraged people to do, sit and have coffee.
Yeah, and here's the funny thing. We talked about the apartments and all the apartments that are being built, and one of the people asked, Sister Gilliam said, "How many of our people from our community are going to be in those apartments?" Because what I'm finding out is that even though it's being built in these communities, the people that are from the community that want to be in those apartments either it's not even that they can't afford them; they don't even get a chance to even apply.
Yeah, because the apartments are already fully occupied before they even complete construction. And this goes back to something that I'm always talking about in Black Men and Women United, which is due process, notice, and opportunity. We've got so many empty apartments in San Diego, in the city of San Diego. You look at the high rises and all of this stuff. And I used to tell people that it was an issue of affordable housing versus available. And I thought that we needed to go to the Housing Commission, but that's not where we need to go. And we're going to do this with the Voice and Viewpoint. We need to go to the city operations, the permitting, the place that gives the permits, and look at how many permits are there and count up the number of vacancies that are already built and sitting empty, and the investors are writing off the empty buildings on their tax returns while more is going up. So, yeah, there's housing there. And right now, we know that it costs as much to live in San Diego as it does in San Francisco.
Yeah. And so one of the things about it, now you guys might say, you guys are in a lot of places tonight, but it is simply to show you the power of the press, the power of print, power of radio, power of literally getting out the message. And that's what Biscuits, Grits, and Politics is going to be about. Taking on real issues, bringing it before the people, and then grabbing support and making sure that it's just not local support, but it's national and international support, because Mankato World Beach Center is an international destination.
correct.
People come from all over the world to experience how to grow food, how to eat food, how to develop food, also how to learn about drum circles in different culture, not just African culture, but African influenced culture.
Well, and you know, this is an example, Dr. Thompson, what you do. You got some 20 nations that participate and listen to GOD radio. And we have at least 12 countries weekly, according to our analytics, that follow Voice and Viewpoint. But it's always like the word says in the Bible, you know, that a prophet is without honor in his own home. And so local people that don't pay attention to us, other people that are national or international do. And they wonder, like, wow, San Diego's got so much going on, and I wish I was there, and all of that. And you always have people, it's people from other places that get involved, so many of us don't.
Yeah, and I always laugh and I say, I think they pay a lot of attention to what's going on, because we find out that if they can talk about it, that means they're paying attention about what's happening.
That's
and
correct.
so I tell people that, you know, when people start talking about the things that you're doing or criticize, that means that they see what you're doing. They might agree with you or they might not agree with you. The biggest thing that will always be at the forefront, are we servicing the people? Are we servicing our community? And the paper in the black press is so essential in this season because of the fact that there's so much nonsense out there on social media. And social media has its high points, but then it has the propaganda points that are low points that gives you false information. I'll give you an example. When COVID hit, there were so many false remedies out there that people were losing their life trying to stay healthy from COVID and did not know how to go about, you know, making through. And they were losing their life because they were trying everything to
Except
get
getting the vaccine.
Exactly.
Everything except that. Let me just make this announcement too, Dr. Thompson. You know, Voice and Viewpoint is looking for investigative journalists. We're looking for people who can write. We know a lot of folks have lost jobs recently in terms of some media changes. We are truly equal opportunity employers. We don't care if you're from Mars, if you got a green card, you speak English, and you can write, and you are able. We've got so much to cover in terms of this city, and we are interested. So you can let it be known. You can send, you know, your inquiry or application to the www.sdvoice.info, and so we can follow up and be in touch with you. And we're talking about paying people for writing as journalists. We're not asking you to come in, be broke, go on a diet just to work for us. We're paying folks for what they can do.
So I want to say this, and I'm hoping that parents are listening, and I'm hoping that you get your young people close to the radio. Young people, this is an opportunity for you writers and those that want to go into the newspaper business or the reporting business or even TV, radio, whatever. This is an opportunity for you to really literally create your own way instead of trying to go work for fast food or whatever, because I know for a fact, if you go and you talk to Dr. Warren, you present yourself well and just say, give me one assignment, and you go out and you knock that assignment out and you bring it back and you make your deadline, and he said, okay, then he going to say, I'm going to give you another assignment and I'm going to give you another assignment. And before you know it, you are a reporter, even if you could be in high school or in college. We have a young lady that first started off interning here at a Mandate and GOD Radio, and then she transferred over to the Voice and Viewpoint, and where she started and where she's at now is light years ahead, but she had to take the risk and leave the fast food job and the smell of fast food to go into this arena. But now she looks back and she says, best move.
And we've had people from Voice and Viewpoint. See, a lot of folks want to be in radio or television, and they say they're not interested in journalism. Well, somebody's got to write what you're reading when you're on there. Dr. Thomson and I both, I have like a 15-year history in radio, in television, in production, and I produce programs. I've been a PBS commentator for 10 years. And so, when we have one young man who came to us from City College years ago. He came to Voice and Viewpoint. He did so well, he went to Channel 10. And from Channel 10, he went to KGLA in L.A. We had another young lady that came to us from Point Loma, and she went to USA Today after a couple of months. And so while newspapers are closing in terms of being bought up by the giants, the black press is the one that's still viewed as the true messenger. And when you come to a place like us, you not only learn to write, but there's an education process. So you don't get sent out on just dumb assignments. We talk and make sure you understand what you're doing. And so we're excited about the opportunities, and we are taking off with what we're doing. We're under contract with CNN, Associated Press. We do the full big thing. It's just that when you look at us, you see more color than you do. And if it wasn't important, just look at our major local networks and ask yourself, why all of a sudden are you seeing black folks as anchors where you didn't see any before? Because they're realizing that we are the ones who are reading and buying and are part of $1 trillion business, and you have a chance to learn this business and get in on the ground floor.
Yeah. And so with that being said, this is from the desk of the editor. We hope that you got something that can take it on. Again, young people, young people, young people. I want you to tap in GOD Radio, the San Diego Voice and Viewpoint. There are opportunities for you now to be active and have your voice heard. And so a lot of times people say that the elders don't give young people opportunities. Well, here are your opportunities to be a part. Hit us up. Call the Voice and Viewpoint. Call GOD Radio. Hit us up, and we will see that the doors will be open for you. This is from the desk of the editor with Dr. John Warren, and yours truly. Y'all be blessed.
Be blessed.